Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki Frazier and Rachel Dean, certified clinical aromatherapists. We are excited to have you here on today's episode where you know that you'll get the best essential oil scoop.
This episode is brought to you by Essentia, a leading online school for aromatherapy. If you want to learn more about Ayurvedic Indian head massage, check out the courses at www.schoolofessentia.com. Welcome to this week's episode of Vetiver Vibes. I'm Nikki and I'm here with Saskia. I am super excited to have you on with us. Saskia Chance is a teacher by training where she developed a learning concept for students who she discovered learned best when they focused on going inwards to find and express their authentic selves. Then came Saskia's 3 children, where she took a break and began painting abstract oil paintings that were used for interior design purpose on an energetic and feng shui level. I love that. In 2009, she decided to move to Canada, where she started writing. It was then that she discovered essential oils, and it was love at first sight. During that time, Saskia also began to train as a psychotherapeutic aroma practitioner in Germany, which is when all of the pieces began to fall into place. Saskia also loves spending time with her family, the ocean, dancing salsa, and anything and everything colorful. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Nikki. That's amazing. I'm
Very
happy
excited
to
to
be
have you
here.
on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
And today we are going to really be looking at a very interesting topic, which I think is absolutely amazing. And you are the owner of Neuroaromatics, which we are going to dive into. But first, one question we always like to ask all of our guests is, what is your favorite oil?
Well, I knew this would be coming, and I thought, does it really have to be one oil? I mean, actually, I love them all for whatever they do. I have a bergamot in the diffuser when I work. I can't sleep without frankincense. I need eucalyptus in the morning to strengthen me for the day. But the one I really couldn't live without, I thought really long, is neroli. Neroli is an oil. When I smell that, it's like coming home.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's Rachel's go-to also. So that's
okay.
Nice. I always love it when guests say one of our 2 top oils, and I was like, ooh, that sounds fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Her biggest favorite oil is always neroli, she says. But
how can you not love it, right? It's like you smell, inhale, and the serotonin levels shoot right up. It's like, yes.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's hard to pick just one. And it depends on the minute even of the day or what's going on in your life in that moment.
Right.
So there's never any one good answer. It's always whatever resonates most for you. So that was great. And so today we are going to dive into neuroaromatics. So can you share with our listeners, what is that?
Well, sure. I love to talk about that. I mean, like you already said, it's my company that's actually in the process of getting trademarked right now. And I have to go back a bit because, when I did that training in Germany as a psychotherapeutic aroma practitioner, I always wanted to do that. It's offered by a school for naturopathic doctors. And when the pandemic came, it was all for the 2 years put online. So I was actually able to do it. So I'm trained and certified in Germany. But you know what I learned there? I mean, I'm a teacher, like you said, but I have a minor in psychology. So the psychotherapeutic aspect, I was like, oh, that's super interesting. And of course, oils, because I always was fascinated by the emotional aspect of the oils. You smell an oil from this bottle and it makes you feel better. It's like, oh, that's so cool. So when I saw that course, it was I don't know, it was like, yes, that's the one. And I learned so much. For example, that everything we do, everything we think and we do, we feel is controlled by our brain. It's like this giant computer that works with neurons and neurotransmitters. And so that was the one thing. And but also our brain, as we all know, does what it knows, like the brain doesn't judge. It doesn't know what's good or bad for us. It does what we call in psychotherapy is it follows a script.
Yeah.
And that script is often been written, I don't know, maybe long ago, and it doesn't, when it served well, and now it doesn't serve us anymore. So we keep doing this and keep doing this, but there's also a thing called neuroplasticity. So that means we cannot change or erase what we learned, but we can add new neural pathways. And the best part is essential oils with their specific chemical structure can work as neurotransmitters. And that for me was like the thing I couldn't get my head around. That's so simple, isn't it? And yet so complicated. So using essential oils to build new neural pathways in the brain. That's like the essence of neuroaromatics. It's the interaction of essential oils with our nervous system, basically.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. And so the one time I remember hearing a description and it just resonated with me. So for people who are new to like neuroplasticity, all that,
Mm-hmm.
I had it described to me as if you have a road and you have one thought, and that's the road that's going to be strong, and all your other thoughts are going to, that road is the dirt road where it's crumbling and it's not the best road, and so it's not used often. And then as soon as you want to strengthen a road, though, then like that's where the oils could come in, strengthening maybe, positive feelings, happiness, different things like that, instead of if you're someone who might be anxious or depressed. Those anxious thoughts are very, very strong on that highway road, and those happy thoughts might be the dirt road, which is crumbling and not very supportive. But then the more, with the help of whatever, in this case, essential oils, the more you use the happy thoughts, that road, all of a sudden it starts to get paved.
Right.
And it's taken care of.
Yeah.
And it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And then that road that was, the highway before, the anxiety road, that was strong, all of a sudden you're not using it and it starts to crumble apart. And it becomes the dirt road afterwards because it's not being used like it was before. Yeah. And so I always found that one easy for me to really picture it. I used to work with a lot of children, and explaining things that way helped the children that I used to work, the teens I used to work with. To really be able to picture it better as to what exactly is happening inside the brain. Because, you hear the term neuroplasticity and it's not always clear as to what is that.
What is that, right? And I love this whatever, the picture.
Analogy.
Yeah, thank you. I love that because it's making it pretty clear what's happening. I have that picture on my website too, with the road in the snow, and the truck always goes in that road, and it's difficult to go on a new road, right? Yeah. The thing is, I mean, you probably heard the saying, how is it again? Energy flows where attention goes. So the neurons fire like on autopilot, unless we are mindful and change it, right? And it's when I use essential oils, I work with aroma anchors. So I work with a client, and together with them, create a space inside them where they feel good, where they feel happy. So, when, for example, somebody struggles with anxiety, panic attacks, I take them to a place before that all happens, where they were strong, where they felt happy. And that is what we call the salutogenetic approach. Okay. As opposed to like when you go to a doctor, for example, he asks what hurts, what's not well, and he treats it, which is fine. I'm that's totally important, but this is a different approach. We go to a place where we feel good, or where we felt good actually, and from there, when we're there, we can actually get all the resources back, And when you're in this feeling, I take that feeling, or for some people, it's a picture. For some people, it might be a meditation, and it's a piece of music. And when you have that piece of good feeling, happy place, I call it, then I have them inhale an oil. And that is how I link the feeling to the oil. And that is how the new pathway, or how you call it, the road in the brain, gets created.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes a while. It takes usually like at least 3 weeks. And you have to practice, you have to do it like at least twice a day. My clients get like an aroma protocol so they can check it off, and they have to inhale it at least twice. Yeah, well, this pathway has to be, how you said before, it has to be made strong and strong and stronger. And then it's like an aroma anchor. I call it aroma anchor. And in the end, when they smell the oil, it automatically triggers that happy feeling.
No, that's great. I use a lot of word anchoring in meditations and things like that. So having the aroma as an anchor is so powerful. And we know aromas have very strong memories and all of that. So that anchor as an aroma is absolutely amazing. And like you said, practicing it, just like anything else, right?
Yeah.
If you want to learn to play the piano, you need to practice it. If you want to learn anything at all, the more you practice, the better you are at it, the stronger you get. And our nervous system is the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to NLP, where you have your body signs and where your anchors. It's really similar to that. And when I have counseling sessions with clients and they get their personal aroma anchor, it's so great to see. It's really working, and they have this little oil. I love it, And I have a friend from my course, from the program that I took. She's from Switzerland, and she works in an addiction clinic, and it's run by the government, and people that get admitted and supported by the government have to go through her. So she has her little office there, and she creates their aroma anchor. She works like I do with them. And if they don't do that, they don't get all the other treatments financed by the government. And I think this is so awesome,
As someone who's trained in addiction counseling, I think that is phenomenal.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes. I'm trained as a child and youth care worker and an addiction counselor. And I think that is phenomenal she's made that part of that intake. It is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's very successful too, I mean, when you look at what the oils do, I always think like they work on two levels, they literally attach to the receptors. It's like a key in a lock,
Yeah.
So they attach to these little receptors. And I work with children too, and I explain the neurotransmitters. I explain it like a little messengers. They take the information in a letter and they bring it to the next neuron, the next cell. And that's what oils do. They make really the limbic system, they make the brain release all these happy, and I call them the happy neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and so on. They really do that. And the second thing is when you inhale an oil, it kind of travels through your nose right to the olfactory system, which is in the limbic system, like in the middle of our brain. Where our memories, our emotions are stored. So what I really like, they don't go through the thinking brain. They go right in the center. So that's a great opportunity to, for example, get back memories. You can find memories, or you can attach to emotions. And when you inhale an oil, that all happens, excuse me. Neurotransmitters are also released because you feel happy, or it remembers you, like, I don't know, oranges remind me of my grandmother. So that memory comes back, and it's like a nice memory. So that also triggers neurotransmitter release. It's like really a highway to happiness, I think.
It is absolutely. Our olfactory system is so powerful,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves. And it is. The essential oils are an amazing way of stimulating that, of bringing that in. And, like you said, memories are strong also. They can in many directions. It can bring good memories and it can also bring bad memories or
Yes,
traumatic memories.
yes,
And even working through
yes.
of those memories with the
Mhm.
oils,
Mhm.
different things like that
Mhm.
is a great way of doing it
Yeah,
with
yeah,
support.
yeah.
But it is, unfortunately, I have two favorite aromas. Fresh cut grass reminds me of my childhood, and grease.
Yes.
I was a tool and die worker, so that shop smell. So
Mhm.
neither one of those are essential oil. It can be made into essential oils, but I just get anywhere near
Mhm.
either of those two aromas, and I'm instantly brought back with
Yes.
floods and floods of happy memories.
Oh,
And
nice. Mhm.
there's nothing better than that. So being able
Yeah.
to, like you said, if it's oranges, or I know I've talked to people before, it's lavender. They had a special, a cream, or they went to lavender farm, or there was something with like, lavender memories
Mm.
associated, and
Mm.
just using it instantly, they can calm, or it brings them happiness or
Yes. Yes.
whatever.
Yes. It's so funny. I work in a naturopathic clinic, and the woman who runs it, the naturopathic doctor, not too long ago, I had a little oil. I introduced it to her, black spruce. And I
Yes.
said, smell this. I think you might like it. And she smelled it and she started crying. And she said, "Oh, that smells like the house I went when I was a child with my grandmother, or I visit my grandmother in Finland." You know, it was so powerful. She literally started crying and had that memory. And I think, yeah, that's amazing.
Releasing so much stuff that might be that we don't realize we're holding on to, um,
Mhm.
all kinds of things. Absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. Mhm.
So, are there any specific oils that you tend to use more so, that you think are almost your go-to or the top oils to use in this situation?
Yes, absolutely. So when I create a blend, I always look at, well, first it's an intuitive,
Mhm.
like a download. And when I have that, it's kind of, I see colors around people and oils, and I can't even explain the process, but then I have a base, and then I look at the neurotransmitter work these oils do, and I look from the chemical compounds if they work together before I make the blend. So, for example, one I really like is bergamot, because bergamot can activate the parasympathetic activity, so the calming activity, and it can also reduce the sympathetic activity. So it works double. And I call it the oil of optimism. It makes you really, it's very uplifting. I use that a lot. And I use grapefruit when I have people that struggle with craving, eating disorder, body shaming, because grapefruit is really, it activates the endocannabinoid system and makes you produce enkephalins, which get back to you feeling good in your body, like kind of loving your body. So that's one I like to use. Frankincense, of course, I'm a frankincense fan. I mean, more oxygen in your brain, right? Or it works with the autonomic nervous system. And we are all kind of chronically stressed these days, which is not good. Yeah. But in our society, it's hardly to avoid, and our immune system struggles. So frankincense is a go-to, which I use a lot. I use manuka
Mhm.
because of that overstimulation. Excuse me, my voice is leaving me today. I talked too much yesterday. um, it has a very strong impact also on the autonomic nervous system. And I have actually a blend, an EMF, electromagnetic field protection roller, and the main ingredient is manuka. Manuka is also great for highly sensitive people. It's really like a protection oil. What
A
else?
lot of EMF waves now.
Oh
More
God, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I know I've got I usually have a necklace on, and then I've got my crystals all over to
Mhm.
help with all
Yeah.
the waves, because and working on a computer when
Oh
I'm
God.
not
Yeah.
with a
Mhm.
client, it's, I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
I think it's great that you have a blend to help that. Just again, right? It's EMFs dysregulate the nervous system. So again, just a way of helping with
Yeah, yeah. When you inhale it and just picture like a golden egg around you,
yeah.
you're protected. And what I like about it, I mean, people always thought like it's a little bit woo, but now it's scientifically based. There's literally a university in Germany in a city called Wiesbaden that only works with the olfactory system and how it works, essential oils, all these things. I don't know, you might have heard Professor Hatt, Hatt. He's like the head of that, and he writes books. And so it's getting scientifically backed up. For example, that lavender synchronizes the electric activity in your brain. There's studies that show that lavender works better than, like, how do you call them? The psychotropic medicine, like antidepressive
Yeah.
medicine, for example. And you can tell people that and they think, yeah, that's great. But some people react more or believe it more when it's scientifically based.
Yes, I'm huge into the woo. I am. I love my subtle aromatherapy. I am the first one. I love doing my card pulls that I do every Friday in our Facebook group.
Mhm.
I love doing moon rituals. I
Mhm.
love manifesting. I love the woo to the max. But I still love the science
Yeah.
and I don't need the science to believe in everything.
Mhm.
But when there is science, it just helps solidify yes, I am right in
Mhm.
this, and
Mhm.
there is
Mhm.
actual proof. And there is a lot of, and I'm a research gal too.
Yes.
Love diving into the research of just what's out there.
Mhm.
Like I want to know how it's working, why it's working,
Mhm.
and to
Yes.
prove that it's working. And there are a lot of people who if they don't have the research studies, then to
Mhm.
them it's like, nope, it doesn't exist. It's all in your head,
Mhm.
and that's it. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's more studies being done and proper studies, because there's a lot of studies around essential oils, but unfortunately they didn't have, the botanical names. It didn't say what species was used, how often it was used, different dilutions, different
Mhm.
things like that. So it's nice that there are more and more studies now that are properly being done and actually showing that scientific evidence behind how amazing and powerful these gifts from the earth are.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 I'm the same. I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that. You said it was a university, or that the place there, and
Mhm.
doctor who's doing it, because yeah, that sounds very fascinating.
Yeah, 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 I think so too. I mean, I don't need any proof because I know it's working and but I'm like you, it gets me thinking and it's like, oh, that little thinker, that's fascinating. Why does that do this and that do this? So I like both, and I find it nice that we can build that bridge for people,
Yes,
from the
yes,
woo to the science, if you want to call it like that.
yeah.
But
That's usually how I say it. It's just the easiest.
it's so funny. Before I came to Canada, I never heard the word woo. And the other day, I posted something on Facebook. I'm for example creating zodiac rollers, because a big thing for me ever since I worked with children is authenticity.
Yeah.
I find when you're happy, when you're authentic, you're happy. You live your own whatever it is. No matter how and what, if it's yours, it's right for you. It makes you happy. And so for me, these zodiac blends, my husband is an astrologist. So we kind of created them together, because when you have the stars under which you're born, that picture, that's your basic authenticity. And when you can capture that energy in a blend and inhale it, it brings you back there. So I posted about that, and somebody wrote like, "Oh, so you're combining the woo of essential oils with the woo of with the even worse woo of astrology." And I go like, "Huh? What is this?" So I said, "Can you explain to me what is this person saying?"
Yeah. But I mean, subtle aromatherapy is an actual thing, and I just like the term woo. It's fun.
Yeah,
Um, but it is. It's
yeah.
and there. there's the science to back it up. But no, anything astrology, anything related to moon, anything related to chakras,
Mhm.
anything, all of those. I mean, aromatherapy pairs really nicely with them. And like
Yes.
you said, to just bring us back into our
Yes.
authentic self, tapping us into what we don't realize is within us, maybe.
Absolutely.
Never
Mhm.
dived into your star chart or, any of your mapping or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was working with my paintings, I balanced colors. I see colors, or I see the energies in colors. And I use these paintings in a feng shui with a feng shui designer to balance energies. And I could see that. And as an artist, people accept that. I didn't have to explain it. She's an artist, she knows what she's doing. But then when I start to counsel and work with oils, they don't really, I can tell them I see you in colors and the oils, and like, huh? It doesn't work anymore. They
Yeah.
need more explanations now, which is fine. I can totally understand that.
Yeah, and color vibration is, again, it's another concept that I've talked to a few people who are do a lot of color vibration, can see the colors, are very much
Mhm.
able to, and I personally find it fascinating. And for me, I'm like, I wish I could do that. I'm like, it sounds so interesting and amazing. So it's great that you can tap into that aspect of yourself to help support people
Mhm.
that much more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm actually now writing a book because I thought it should be all combined. So
Mm.
the title, it's just a work title. It's called Seven Bridges to Authenticity. So I created seven blends, um, of different blends that on different levels bring you to your authenticity. And I back them up with a painting
Mm.
and a story.
Mm.
So the energy is the same. The color vibration, the oil vibration, and the story has the same energy. So it's like a triple impact. And, you can, for example, read the story or picture the picture and then inhale the oil to have the triple effect. And I'm working on the scientific backup now. And I'm working on the how to use kind of part. And because I think if the colors do it and the oils do it and the words, why not combine it? As a child, I always had that dream you lie in a little cell and everything is energy, and heals you, whatever your imbalance is. Yeah.
No, like you said, energy is all around us, and we have the power. Our body wants to heal itself. It doesn't want to
Yeah.
be sick. It doesn't
Right.
want to be in dis-ease.
Yeah.
It wants to heal itself.
Right.
That's
Yes.
when we go to sleep, that's what it's trying to do, is to
Mhm.
heal itself from the day before so that you
Mhm.
can have the best possible day when you wake up.
Right. Yes. Mhm.
And being, like you said, being able to bring all these things together to allow the body to do what it can the most is exactly it.
Yes. Yes.
We're just supporting the body doing what it naturally does.
Right. Yes. And I think that's also what we all want to. We want to be back in this harmony, this homeostasis, and that's also what the oils actually support. They kind of bring out that self-healing power. I'm sure we all have,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For example, I like to use oils that are high in linalool,
No,
and that can attach to the GABA receptor. I mean, GABA is kind of, I think a lot of people know about it that have struggled with stress and sleeping. It's the gamma amino butter acid. And when you attach something to that receptor, it's like whoosh, going on the brake. Your system breaks, which is super important for your stress response. And when I learned that actually sleeping pills like Valium or Xanax attach to the GABA receptors, and that essential oils can do that, like the high in linalool, like frankincense, bergamot, or lavender. I thought, well, if I have the choice between that and that, what would I pick, right? um, So if you can do that, and also sleep better through that, have your body have a chance to heal because you sleep. GABA is also responsible for sleeping through. Like melatonin makes you fall asleep, but GABA is responsible for not waking up, so for having a restful sleep. So if I can do that with an oil, I mean, that's well, I shouldn't say it's a no-brainer, but that's um, a great thing to have, a great tool to have.
Yeah. And I feel like society is going more and more looking for ways on how
Mhm.
to support the body naturally. Um,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah,
can we
yeah,
can look at that, then absolutely the better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. People get more conscious, right? Also, I feel like after the pandemic, that kind of strengthens that wish of having natural remedies.
Yeah. And you're more in charge of your body. And that's not the term that's right, but it's the one that's coming to mind right now. But you're more in control. You're not relying, and as much as essential oils are an external thing, but you're not relying on taking something every single day for the body to then react every single
Mhm.
day. Oils,
Yeah, would
once you strengthen that pathway, then it's easier, and you don't need to smell that personal inhaler every single day type. It's easier to just pull out that oil
Mhm.
versus maybe the different medications that have different side effects or things like that too.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just an easier way
yeah.
of grabbing an oil, rolling it on, inhaling it, however the application is. Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Now, is there certain times that people should not be using, like having an oil to anchor or using the blends, the near aromatic blends that you've created or things like that? Any contraindicators or hazards that people should be aware of?
Well, there are sensitivities to oils. You should always be the safety and do a patch, test it, don't go in the sun, all that common knowledge oil stuff. What I find important, it's not a contraindication, but what I also find important is that people like the smell they use. So when I create a blend, I have generic blends and I create personal blends. And the personal blends, it's like a whole questionnaire, and then I make them smell it because I mean, I hear people say when it's a smell you don't, or an oil you don't like, it's exactly what you need. But I personally find you have to like the smell. And because, the pleasure works also in your favor, triggering serotonin, for example. So that's the one thing I find important. If you work that way, you should have some basic training in psychotherapy and aromatherapy. I don't think it's really good to walk around and treat people. You should kind of know the basics, and you should know your limits. So
Absolutely.
when I work with someone, I make sure the medical part is checked or taken care of. And when it's really severe, when you come to where you feel like, oh no, this is really it's too much. There are people that do need medication, maybe to start with or in general. So you have to get help for them. You cannot say, oh, I do that with oils. You have to, the oils do a lot, but there's limits.
Yes,
Uh,
there's a time and a place for each, and both need to be respected.
Absolutely. And I think it's so great, Nikki, that we live in a time where we have all that, we can choose. I think that's fantastic. We don't only have the natural, we don't only have the medicine, we have both. And another thing is there's people that, children often, or also adults that experience trauma. And when you take them inside, you have to be very careful. You have to be very sensitive because when you dive into the trauma with them, I mean, I trust in our body and our soul. It never releases more than we actually can handle. But if you go there actively, it might be too much. So
Yes.
that's when you have to be careful when you use this aromatic method.
Absolutely. Stay within your ethical boundaries, what you're trained in. Absolutely. If you're not trained in aromatherapy, then, learning, become a clinical aromatherapist. Check out Essentia.
Right,
You
that's
know,
right. Yeah.
but, as someone who is trained as a child and youth care worker, you don't want to pick open a scab and not be able to support that person after.
Right.
You know, you can't just approach someone, any of your random clients and start diving into that. If you're not trained in counseling, it's, you have to know your ethical boundaries.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it's not in myself being trained. I don't practice at the moment, but even when I was in the schools practicing and things like that, there's still limits where I'm like, okay, this is now past my limit. As much as I was trained in suicide ideations, I was trained in all of that, but it's like each setting also has its own limits. So I think that's a great reminder of, if someone is coming with whatever trauma that they might have in their past or anything like that, make sure you have references on where to refer people out.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, it has to be taken care of course. I'm not saying we're going to a happy place and everything is great. There are situations and issues that have to be looked at and expressed and worked with for sure. But I'm against just doing that over and over and over again. And at some point, it's good. You just have to let it go. And basil, for example, is a great oil for letting go of all script patterns. And so you can support that with basil, by the way, just comes to mind. And so at some point, when it's worked through, you have to just create a new place, a happy place, and go there. That's what I'm trying to teach my clients or train them in.
Yeah. And I think having that personal blend is really great for that aspect, because it is then personal. And you made a comment earlier about, when you don't like an oil, sometimes you need it. I don't always agree with that statement, because sometimes you just honestly just don't like an aroma, and that's okay. Like I'm still someone who patchouli is still not something I can do. I can't. I've done one drop in blends before. And even at that, there are some days I'm like, no, that one drop is too much. It just ruined the whole blend. I used to be like that with geranium. Now geranium is actually one of my top 2 favorite oils, I would say.
Interesting.
Because it was my last pregnancy. It was something shifted within me in my last pregnancy, and I craved it. I needed it.
Yeah.
One of my go-tos for almost everything.
Cool.
So, I mean, it can definitely shift. But just because you don't like an oil, don't like an aroma, doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that you need that one even more so. Just might not be the right time to enjoy that aroma.
Right? Yeah. It reminds me a bit of my grandmother who says, well, the medicine has to taste bitter to work.
Yeah, that's and I mean, for certain things, I don't care about the aroma of it. I'm like, no, I'm looking straight at therapeutic benefits. I know this is, therapeutically, this is a great blend, chemistry wise, looking at that. I don't care what it smells like.
Really?
But then there are most of the time where, especially with children or with clients more so, like myself, I'm just like, if I don't like the smell, if it's something for topical, I won't smell all that much. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But for clients or especially kids or, different things, you need to like it. If you don't like it, you're not going to put it on, because then you're going to feel like you stink, or you're going to feel like it's not worth using, or like no one wants to smell something that smells gross. That's real.
Yes. Yeah.
You need to have that.
The pleasure, right? The pleasure of it. Yeah. Yeah. And Nikki, when you mentioned children, I love to work with children. I mean, being an elementary school teacher, it kind of comes to me. And when you work with them and you make them, they smell oils, and they already have them attached to descriptions and pictures. Like, they smell peppermint, and they say, for example, it smells like toothpaste.
Yeah.
And then I work with meditation. I do like a fantasy travel. I call it like a meditation with them. And then we go back, and when they then smell, they describe it totally different. They say it smells, I don't know, funny or fresh, or they away from the picture. So they like a level deeper and describe it with their own words, which brings me to that authenticity aspect. And I love it. I love it when that happens with people, when you get all the coverage out of the way and dive into the center. Yeah.
And now you also made a comment that you do meet with people one-on-one, you make the specific blend unique to them, but then you also have blends that you already have pre-made, more
Mhm.
generic blends for people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's my Neuro Aromatic blends. And for example, we're selling them in the clinic. And I kind of, I'm not a person who puts an oil on a symptom because that is not the salutogenetic approach. I didn't like that before my training when people come, oh, I have a headache. What oil could I use? That's not how it works. But I try and keep the names so they tell you a little bit what you can use it for without being too symptom oriented. So I have blends like Trust That All Is Well, or stress-free eating. Or I have a blend called Pure Happiness, which is great for couples when you work with couples. So they have their kind of signal blend. Yeah, that's and I always create them on the classical, the head, like like the head, how do you call it in English?
Different
Head,
notes.
heart, root. Yeah. They're always the three. And I have a description there for people to attach it to an inner picture. I have like a little, I call it train your brain exercise. It comes with the blend, so you know what to do, go to that happy, because it's really key for me to go to a happy place before you inhale the oil to create that neural pathway. So that give them that little train your brain exercise. And yeah, and then they can always ask me, of course, but it works actually quite well, I must say. And some people prefer rollers. For children, I like to do rollers, very, very diluted. I have a friend, she's a speech pathologist, and she works with children on the spectrum. She works with these rollers, which is awesome. They respond really well. And for adults, I like the put a drop in your hands and pop it over your nose and inhale it. I really like that. So I have droppers and rollers, different forms of the blends. Yeah, and you can find them on my website. I just set up a shop there, yeah, an online shop.
Great. So that website, do you want to share what it is just so that people know?
Yeah, it's actually simple. It's neuroaromatics.com.
And we'll have that in the show notes too.
Oh, thanks.
And now, do you only see people in person, or do you also see people over like Zoom conference, things like that? I know it can be a little harder to make blends you personally when it's over distance meetings. But is that an option, or is it really just more of the in-person aspect?
No, it's a big option because I work with clients in Germany. It
Okay.
is, yeah, I still have connections there. I'm working with teachers there. I have a course that was accredited by the German government to train teachers to work with students, which is awesome when they do that in elementary school. And what I do, I have them, or we do it actually together, fill out that questionnaire before, so we get that kind of, or not we, I get an idea for the blend. And sometimes I get them to mix it, people when they have oils, and sometimes I send it to them because during the session it would be good. They need something to inhale. So that works. Of course, I prefer the in-person, and I'm getting better in English. So I see them in person and it works. But it's, of course, an option. Yeah.
No, your English is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. That's what I needed to hear. That's why I said that.
Oh, it is. It's fantastic. And I get a lot of time. I'll have a French word in my head, and I as I'm thinking, I'm like, hey, what's the English word? What's the English word? Is it going to come out in English, or is it going to come out in French? So I get sometimes a little frustration of that aspect. But
Oh,
no,
yes.
no, your English is great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. I think that's a great spot to kind of wrap this up. And now I know you did share your website, which is www.neuroaromatics.com, which we'll have in the show notes. Where else can people find you? Are you on social media?
Yes, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's the same name. It's Neuro Aromatics. I'm not posting regularly, but I'm posting. I'm trying to. And I'm always open for emails. I'm always answering and responding to emails when people have personal questions. Sure.
Great. So yeah, and they can go to your website and buy those pre-made blends and all that type of stuff and contact you and connect with you for any questions or that.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good time now. Oh no, it's like around, when December, January, I have two blends. They are called Miracles and Believe. I just wanted to mention them. Do you know the Course in Miracles, that book? Have you heard about that? It's a book that people work with, and it's how to draw miracles in your life.
Okay. Yep.
So now between Christmas and New Year, that's this time, the Rauhnächte, and that's when you can actually use, for example, that blend Miracles you can just inhale it to draw miracles into your life that you want to create. Or Believe is the other blend when, for example, the new year starts and you want to have things for the new year to believe and strengthen that. So that is something I just added for this time of the year.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And I do a lot of like manifesting around the moon, the full moon, the new moon, that stuff. So to me, when you were talking about that, I'm like, doesn't matter what time of year, like you're always wanting to bring in, believe, and that type of thing. So I'm like, oh, those blends would be great to add in any of those.
I love that moon work. I find that so fascinating. You're getting me ideas.
Yeah.
Nice.
Some nice moon blends. I've got a few moon blends that I absolutely love to have.
Do you create them?
Yeah. A lot of times it kind of depends on each new moon or full moon, what I'm feeling. And just intuitively more so what I reach for. But yeah, I love to create blends around the moon.
Nice. I love that. Nice.
Well, thank you so much again for joining in on Vetiver Vibes, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. It was great fun meeting you and talking. Bye.
Thank you for spending your time with us here at Vetiver Vibes. This episode was brought to you by Essentia, a leading online aromatherapy school. Don't forget to check out some of our free resources at www.schoolofessentia.com.
If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think would enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, you can go on over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of your review and we will send you a free guided meditation as our way to say thank you.
This podcast is for information purposes only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medication concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply directly to you.